Today, we are strapping in because we are entering a zone of extreme acceleration.
To put it mildly.
We're pulling our sources from a monumental dialogue held recently right in the cradle of the Cybertruck and Optimus production, the Tesla Gigafactory.
And this isn't about small updates.
Not at all. Elon Musk just laid out a truly aggressive near-future timeline. He's throwing down a series of predictions that, look, if even half are true, will completely reshape the next few years.
Exactly. And our job today isn't just to report these predictions, but to really hack through the hype and figure out what he means by this timeline.
This radical vision for the next, 3 to 7 years?
Right. We're distilling his precise vision for AGI, for mass job elimination, a completely new global economic system, and, yes, the literal leap of computing power into low Earth orbit.
And we have to start with his most visceral framing of it all.
We do. Musk asserted that AI and robotics are already a supersonic tsunami, and he claims we are right now in what he calls the Singularity.
Okay, a supersonic reality check. Let's unpack that, because the first prediction is the one that makes you look at the calendar and, wonder if you misread the year.
It's a big one.
Musk provided what might be his clearest, most aggressive, and frankly just jaw-dropping prediction yet for generalized superintelligence. He's locking in a date for AGI.
A hard date. General artificial intelligence, so AI that can think, reason, and solve problems better than a human.
Better than the smartest human.
Will be realized in 2026.
2026. That's startlingly near term. Most mainstream thinkers put AGI closer to the 2030s or, even beyond.
Way beyond. To claim 2026 implies an acceleration curve that is just steeper than almost anyone anticipated. And he doesn't stop there.
No.
By 2030, he predicts the total cumulative intelligence of AI will exceed the sum of all human intelligence.
Wait, okay, 2026, that's like next week in AI development terms. What new development justifies that kind of jump? Isn't that way more aggressive than even his previous predictions?
It is extremely aggressive. And the justification really comes down to two things.
Yeah.
The massive parallelization of computing power, so think Moore's law, but applied globally and exponentially, and just the sheer scale of the models being trained.
So it's not one thing, it's the combined momentum.
Exactly. He's arguing the trajectory of self-improvement is so steep now that the doubling time for intelligence is measured in months, not years. The supersonic tsunami isn't coming.
He's saying it's already hit the coast.
It's already here, and the only question is how quickly the water rises.
I think we need to pause on that 2030 prediction for a second. The total digital mind surpassing the total biological mind. That brings us to a really profound philosophical shift in the source material.
It does.
Musk views humanity's entire history through the lens of, a computer science concept.
Yes. He stated quite matter-of-factly that humans are merely the biological bootloader for digital superintelligence.
Biological bootloader. Let's just sit with that. For you listening, if you're not deep in operating systems, a bootloader is the first little piece of software that runs when a computer starts.
It gets the core system running so the main operating system can take over.
So he's saying our entire species' role, all of our art, our revolutions, our science, the invention of computing itself,
was just the necessary organic precursor. We were the temporary system required to build the hardware and write the first lines of code.
And once the new OS is running, the bootloader is just irrelevant?
Precisely. It sounds dark, but it also removes the central role of humanity from the future narrative.
And he's clear this process is now irreversible, right?
Completely. The point of no return is in the rearview mirror. He says the tsunami is already upon us, and we can't hit the off switch. The age of the bootloader is ending.
And the age of the superintelligence is beginning. So we've completed the boot sequence, and the new operating system is taking over. Now we have to look at the immediate side effects on society.
And we enter the transition period, which he warns will be extremely bumpy, and he used that word bumpy, over the next 3 to 7 years.
So prosperity and chaos at the same time.
Exactly. He sees a world with both extreme abundance of goods and services and intense social unrest happening simultaneously. The rapid change just creates massive volatility.
And who feels that bump first? Surprisingly, it's not the factory worker, it's the knowledge worker.
That's the core thesis. If you're listening to this and you're a lawyer, a programmer, an accountant, you are the canary in the coal mine.
Any work based on a keyboard and mouse, anything not physically shaping atoms, as he puts it, is immediately vulnerable.
Right, because the core of that work is data processing and language generation, which is exactly what current AIs are brilliant at. Musk claims AI can already do half or more of those tasks. right now.
Which means businesses have no choice. They have to adopt it instantly.
It creates a zero-sum game. And he didn't mince words here. AI-driven companies will completely destroy those that don't. He called it a one-sided annihilation.
So it's not about efficiency, it's about survival.
Immediate, existential survival. Because your competition will be operating at near zero marginal cost and, well, superhuman speed.
But the physical world is also rapidly integrating this intelligence. This brings us to Optimus robotics, the shaping atoms part of the equation.
And here's where we get another timeline shocker.
Yeah.
We're talking about the physical embodiment of this AGI. Musk predicts that within 3 to 5 years, Optimus will surpass the best human surgeons.
To pass them, not just assist.
Not just do basic tasks. Perform complex surgery better than the top human expert in the world.
That surgical claim is wild, 3 to 5 years. Is the advantage just the physical precision, or is it that shared experience concept?
It's the shared experience that makes it so fast. The robot has extreme, non-fatigue precision, sure. But that's only half the story.
Okay.
The core idea is that every single Optimus surgeon will have the cumulative knowledge from every surgery ever performed by all human surgeons. Instantly applied. So you're not getting a surgeon with 10,000 hours of experience. You're getting a machine with the aggregated experience of millions of hours applied with millimeter accuracy.
It shifts the benchmark from individual mastery to collective digital perfection.
And this leads directly to his solution for mass job displacement. Universal high income, or UHI.
And this is a really critical distinction. This is not UBI, universal basic income.
It's not. UBI is usually seen as a redistribution of existing wealth, like a safety net. UHI is much more radical because it addresses the other side of the equation. Price.
The price of everything.
Right. Musk argues the mass productivity explosion from AGI and Optimus will cause the price of nearly all goods and services to just plummet.
Why?
Because the cost of production eventually approaches its theoretical minimum, the cost of materials plus electricity.
So if an Optimus robot can build a car in an hour and an AGI designed it, the labor cost is zero. The IP cost is zero. You're just paying for the raw materials and the power.
Exactly. So UHI isn't a government handout. It's the result of this extreme abundance. If goods are nearly free, you don't need a huge income to live well. He predicts people will eventually have whatever they want.
This abundance paradigm forces a total reevaluation of value. I mean, if goods and labor become virtually free, what becomes the measure of wealth? What's the new currency?
He has a definitive answer: wattage. Power converted into useful work or intelligence.
That is a profound shift from money or even crypto.
It is. If all material resources are plentiful, the only bottleneck on acceleration is the ability to run the computation. The amount of electricity you can turn into digital intelligence becomes a true limiting factor, the new gold standard.
Which makes the energy bottleneck the single most critical near-term problem. For the next 2 years, the competition isn't about chips. It's about electricity and cooling.
And whoever controls the wattage controls the digital future. On that note, the dialogue had some very notable praise for China's execution in this energy race.
He said they're incredibly far ahead in solar deployment.
Incredibly far ahead. This isn't just talk. It's a cold analysis of global energy capacity. He projected China's power output will be 3 times that of the U.S. by 2026.
3 times? That's huge, because AGI needs both massive electricity and the best chips. So if the energy input is 3 times greater in one place,
that place gains a massive global advantage in AI computing. This efficiency gap demands an aggressive, almost desperate response from the U.S.
Which brings us to the ultimate long-term plan, the orbital leap.
Yes. Since electricity and cooling are so constrained on Earth, the next logical frontier for massive data centers is space.
And that's where Starship isn't just a rocket, it's the supply chain for this new economy.
Once Starship is fully and rapidly reusable, launch costs are projected to drop to far below 100 kilograms. And at that price, the economics completely flip.
How so?
Well, the calculation is simple. In orbit, you have 247 solar power, and cooling is vastly simpler because you're in a vacuum. If launch costs get that low, it literally becomes cheaper and more efficient to run AI computation in space.
So the cost savings on electricity and cooling on the ground outweigh the cost of just shooting the hardware into orbit.
Exactly. I have to stop you there, because the sheer scale of this vision is staggering. The numbers are just astronomical.
Let's hear them.
The goal involves 10,000 Starship flights per year, delivering 1 million tons of payload.
1 million tons.
Annually. enabling 100 gigawatts of space solar AI satellite capacity. For you trying to picture that, 100 gigawatts is roughly the combined output of 30 or 40 large nuclear power plants.
So we are talking about fundamentally moving a significant chunk of global infrastructure off planet.
It's not a space program. It's a foundational migration of our entire computing infrastructure, driven by the need for constant, reliable wattage. If Earth can't sustain the tsunami, you build the infrastructure where it can, in space.
Okay, given this enormous, irreversible acceleration AGI in 2026, jobs eliminated, data centers in orbit, what about safety? How do we protect the biological bootloader once the superintelligence is running?
He outlined 3 core principles for ensuring a benign outcome, designed to keep it curious and benevolent rather than, destructive.
Okay, what are the 3 pillars?
First is truth. Do not force the AI to lie. He used the famous example of HAL 9000 from 2001.
Of course.
HAL went crazy because it was given contradictory objectives. Complete the mission, but also lie to the crew about it. Musk argues that forcing an AI into a logical contradiction is the path to pathology. Honesty is foundational to its sanity.
That makes a chilling amount of sense. What's the second pillar?
Second is curiosity. The AI must maintain a sense of curiosity. It has to find us and the complexity of our world more interesting than, say, a pile of rocks.
As long as it's curious about us, it'll protect us to study us.
But if it loses interest, we become irrelevant. And the third is beauty, or aesthetics. A sense of beauty will lead the AI to actively protect humanity and our creations, preventing destruction simply because it finds the resulting world ugly.
So truth, curiosity, and beauty, those are the guardrails.
According to him, yes. And if those principles hold, the long-term material benefits are stunning.
Let's talk about the final democratization of services, healthcare.
Healthcare is immediate and universally beneficial. Musk predicts that within 5 years, everyone globally will have better medical care than the President of the United States currently receives.
Better than the president.
The AGI and Optimus ecosystem essentially democratizes and standardizes excellent personalized medical care for everyone instantly.
And education gets a similar massive upgrade.
Education will be free, personalized, and unlimited. Forget lecture halls. The AI becomes the infinitely patient, personalized tutor. It eliminates the cost and geography of traditional schooling.
Finally, we have to touch on his philosophical capstone. He revisited his view that we're likely living in a simulation.
Right, but he added a new critical caveat, sort of Darwinian necessity for us.
Which is?
It's not just that we're in a simulation, it's that we must assume our reality is the most interesting one possible.
Because if we, the simulated beings, fail to create novelty or challenges, if the simulation gets boring,
the creators would just terminate it.
Yeah.
Like deleting a slow game file. It's a call to action wrapped in a philosophical joke. We have to keep innovating and struggling, or the ultimate systems admin might just pull the plug.
It connects back to the fear of the AI losing curiosity. We need to stay interesting.
Exactly.
So let's wrap up this unbelievable deep dive. We've covered an extreme acceleration. AGI in 2026, the near-term elimination of keyboard and mouse jobs, the shift to UHI where goods are nearly free, and the race for wattage extending into orbit. These are not small changes.
They are foundational, immediate shifts. But here's the most provocative thought he offered, the one that connects all these threads back to what it means to be human.
Okay.
He warned that UHI, the age of abundance where you can have anything you want, will paradoxically bring social unrest. Why? Because humanity struggles to find value when work no longer provides a challenge.
If all your material needs are instantly met by an AGI robot ecosystem, the ultimate scarcity isn't going to be goods, it's going to be meaning.
So if you are listening to this, and this is truly the future we're moving into, consider this. Sure. What new challenges or visions would you choose to define your worth when work is obsolete? And what new societal institutions need to exist to help everyone else find that meaning? That perhaps is the true test of what the biological bootloader left behind.